Y'all doing?
Hey, say what's up, Tone.
Yeah.
Here at the house, man, at the Choose Live podcast. Listen, before we go any further, go ahead and press that share button. Share it on your page. Let's get some people involved. We're hoping.
No sound.
I know. Sometimes they tell us all the time, if you have no sound, I'm going to turn my volume up just for you. There's sound here. You got to turn your volume up, or you might be in a bad spot. But like I was saying, hit the share button. Share this on your page. We want to get some people involved. As always, this is a interactive podcast where you can ask us any questions you like, and we'll do our very best to answer and to get to you as well. And so we're excited here tonight. Oh my! I cannot believe it's almost Christmas.
Yes, right around the corner, man.
Yeah. How about you? You ready for Christmas?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I mean,
All right.
it's gonna be beautiful. It's a good time of the year.
Yeah.
It's always gonna be like, one of those times of the year where you could get together with the people that that make you feel good, make you feel right, and loved and all that, and just spend that time with them.
That's right. That's right. You guys, how about you? Are you ready for the Christmas holiday? And if you are, go ahead and share a comment with me. Let me know, what is your favorite part of Christmas? How about for you, Tone? What's your favorite part of Christmas? Is it the food? Is it the gifts? Is it the family? What is it?
It's the family.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite meal for Christmas? If you could just have a Christmas meal, what is it?
Oh man, some arroz con gandules.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You come from a Puerto Rican background?
Yeah, I got some Puerto Rican in me.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Me, man, tamales.
Yeah.
Tamales for me, bro.
It's that time of the year, yeah.
Yeah, it's that time of the year. I've been seeing tamales popping up on every corner.
Yeah, yeah.
South Hayward.
This guy was out there just tamales.
Yeah, tamales, bro.
10 minutes ago down there on
My
Carter.
auntie says she buys them just to try them because she can't find none better than hers. So shout out to my Thea right there. Well, hey, speaking of tamales, man, we have almost 200 tamales made for our Christmas Jingle Bash. It's going to be a great time. So if you haven't signed up yet, and if you haven't bought a ticket, man, we want to encourage you, try to get there. I know that, our registration is closed off, but if you go to the church and for some reason you were under the weather, you didn't make it, hey, just give me a jingle, right? And I'll let you know. I think, we're pretty packed, but we don't want to do it without you, okay? So getting ready for that is going to be a great time. Really quick, before we go on, want to be able to acknowledge a few people who are here tonight watching us. Brother Scott says he's feeling a little bit under the weather. Please pray that I'm better by Christmas dinner. Scott don't want to be sick when it's time to eat, bro. He's like, he don't care about nothing else. He's just like, dear Lord, I just want to pray for the food right now. J. Ray Nora says, my guys love me some HOF family. That's right, the Stevens family there. My guys. Who else? Paul Torres is joining us. Soli Serrano is joining us. And so, yep, we're excited. We're happy to be here. I know earlier I seen Megan was joining us. Brother Miguel just joined us. Megan says hello from her and Joey. Hey, shout outs to Joey, man, because Joey went with me today. We went out and during a quick lunch break, we went out to get Toys for Tots today.
Yeah.
I think we probably got well over 200 toys today. We packed up our truck and the back seats, the truck. We got blessed. A lot of great toys. I took a little picture. I put it on there. So in case you don't know, Tony, I want to share with you as well. If you have any children, we're giving away toys at the church this Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. Isn't that wonderful when a church can give to the community?
Yeah, that's a blessing right there.
Right? Especially right now with inflation and all the things happening, like, some of the families, they need that little extra for their kids. So we want to bless you. We want to be able to give some to you. So Sunday, 1:30 p.m., first come, first serve, child must be present. Right?
Yeah.
Child must be present. Somebody pull up, say, I got 7 kids.
Hey.
They all at home. I go, bring them, and we got you. I got Brother Ernest here saying hello today. I think I seen Sister Maxine is. I think I seen Maxine on a little bit earlier, but so. Quick announcements. What else we got going? Okay, the party Saturday, Friday night. I need some helpers. So calling out to all the men of God. Come help me out. Friday night, we need to help set up some tables, move some chairs, right? So if you serve in the usher ministry, maybe, manna ministry, we need some manpower. We're going to have a great time with your family. So please show up Friday night. I'll send you the time and just come help. It works a lot easier when people get involved, Tone. Right?
Yeah.
It teamwork.
Yeah.
Right? It's hard doing stuff alone.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
But one great thing about our church is that everybody shows up. Yeah. They show up to give, man. So we'll be there. What else we got going? A couple of announcements. I'll remember some more as we go. But tonight we want to talk a little bit about Brother Tone here. I want to have him introduce himself a little bit. He's going to share a little bit about where he's from, where he's been, and really just kind of what God is doing in his life now. And so if you might not know, I've known Tone for over 25 years. I mean, I think we met. You're a couple years older than me, so you were already probably 16, 17 when I was 13, 14, So I remember you because you were always taller than the rest of us. Right? I think you've probably been the same size since you were like 16.
Yeah. I got a little growth spurt and kind of mellowed out.
Yeah, that was about it. So you grew up in San Francisco. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Hayward, and a little bit of time in Fairfield as well. Went to a few different high schools. And I started off in the city, going to high school, went out to Fairfield, and went back to the city, finished up in downtown, didn't really get an education as far as, educating myself until a little bit later. Got my GED and ended up joining the Army. I'm actually still in the Army. I'm in the reserves right now.
So what's that mean, you're in the reserves? I mean, I hear that all the time. What does that mean? That means like you're an on-call doctor? Like if they call you, you got to go?
Well, so you got active and reserves. Active side, you're, active military, you're active Army, whatever the branch is. And for the most part, you're 24/7 on call, doing what your job is, whatever that may be. And, doing what you got to do. And as far as the reserve goes, it's 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year, but this is really more than 2 weeks now. But for the most part, there's a lot of training, a lot of different things we got to check the block on as far as our it's kind of hard to explain, but for the most part, we get together and we do what we got to do and get trained up and make sure we're proficient on what we got going on. And if the time does come when we got get it called up to deploy or do any type of engagement, we're ready for it.
That's good. Always got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's one thing about being from the Bay Area, the cool thing is that we became those Bay boys. Like, we've lived in different places all over the Bay. We moved around a lot, whether you were in between parents or wherever you were. But what do you think that did for you, going from different cities, meeting new people? Like, how did that help you, as you matured?
It was everything was a learning experience. I mean, it was one of them things where I moved around a lot of different cities. I've been all over the world.
Right.
I've been in Germany. I've traveled a little bit of Europe. I've been down to Southeast Asia, and all that area, and I've been down to Mexico a few times. And, I mean, everywhere is beautiful. I mean,
right.
Even when you see what you see out there, it's still it's tremendous to see, like, what the differences and how everybody gets down different and just the different different communities and everything, but it's all the same because it's all family. Everybody's doing what they're doing for each other out there. No matter where you're at, whether you're living in a mud hut or
we're all people
living in a tent.
Same struggle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Same struggle. So I know for you and I, we both were in the streets, right? And so I know at a young age, you kind of joined the gang life, and kind of like all of us, we followed the crowd. That's what was popular at the time. And so you got spared from going to prison and, doing real hard time. And coming out of the gang life and kind of doing that, you came to a place in your life where you had to make a choice, right?
Yeah.
Either you're going to continue that destructive life, go down the wrong path and be somewhere on a prison bus in a prison, or sign up for the military. So tell me, how did that come about, especially from being a homie from the hood? Like, I can't ever think of a time where anyone told me you can join the Army or you can be a Marine. It was more like, hey, you can sell some drugs, and you can do some things. But how did that come about? Do you have family or somebody who was serving, or tell us the story, how that came about for you? Because that's a big jump of faith.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
to leave the streets to go join the Army.
That's a good question. I mean, I could give you a lot of different answers, but the honest truth is, there was a time where I was on that path, and I was, it was like, this is what it is. And when my brother got locked up, I found myself trying to find a way to be there with him to make sure he was good, because he's my little brother.
Right.
And I had to sit down with my father, and we talked about this whole thing, because he saw the path I was on, and we talked about it. And it was just one of the things where, I could do that, and maybe I get out in 5 to 10 or whatever it is, and make something out of myself, or I could do something like this, and have something for myself that's solid, and it made sense, I mean, obviously there's a little more to it than that, but
right.
I mean, it made sense to me at the time. It was time for me to move on and try to get things right for myself.
Right.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how do you think the streets prepared you for the Army or going into the military?
I mean, that it's kind of like a one for another type thing, where it was hard for me to leave, but it strengthened me in a lot of different ways, So going out there and being able to bring where I came from, and to different people from all over the country. I mean, because you don't see a lot of people from the Bay Area in the military, Not as much in the Army anyways. You might see more in the Marines. There's a lot of Latinos in the Marines, and a lot of people from California in the Marines and the Navy as well, but not too much in the Army. So I told you about it before. Like, you meet people from California, you click up pretty fast. And it's a good thing. And get to know everybody that as best you can. For the time that you have. It could be it could be difficult too sometimes, especially with the wars going on and everything like that. Yeah. You don't want to hear about anybody out there, going down and
dying.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it's not as how can I say, it's not prison, but I mean, signing up for the Army, you get sent away. Yeah. Right? You're away from your family, away from your loved ones. You're away from a lot of the civilian world that we live, right?
Yeah.
And so, you have mentioned you've been all over the world. So tell me about some of your travels with the Army. You have mentioned Germany. What were some of the things that you can share with some of us who are watching tonight, and hopefully some of your friends are watching as well? And hey, Sister Aleida, Brother Edwin, a couple of you guys who are joining here tonight, tell us a little bit about your travels while in the Army. I know you have mentioned to me before you did 14 years active in the Army, so thank you for your service. And tell us what was Europe like? What was Asia like? What was it like coming from the Bay Area, seeing the difference of culture and people in the world?
It made me, being the type of person that I am, I was able to really immerse myself in the culture. So like, I'll just tell you like this, like when I went to Germany, they would kind of tell us, as far as, they wanted us to blend in as best we can. So there's certain like protocols when it comes to like facial hair and haircuts and all that stuff. You got regulations, and like right now I'm way out of standard because
you always got to shave and stuff like that.
Supposed to be shaving and all that. So hopefully like my sergeant major ain't looking at this video.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah.
like, trim that mustache.
But yeah, so there's standards, but like when you're out there in Europe, they want you to kind of like relax on those standards for the most part. That way you can blend in, because there's certain cultures out there that, this is before 9/11 that we were out there and they still were trying to make sure we were safe out there. But me, I'm just cool. I was good with everybody. I had friends from Iran. I had friends from Turkey. I was hanging out with, like,
that must have been so cool.
And yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys love Tupac, so like we were just like we snapped.
Man, Tupac in Iran, that's crazy.
Yeah, loved it. And we were all good. We were hanging out a lot. We were hanging out a lot. And then after 9/11 kicked off, we're still good. Everything was still good. It was just that. Obviously, we were going to war,
Right,
so,
right.
it wasn't one of those things where.
Do you remember that time at 9/11? What was it like to be in the Army during 9/11?
Well, for me, I mean, it was pretty hectic. I remember the day. I could tell you all about that day, but for the most part, it was a very hectic time. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. A lot of information being put out, and disinformation, and good information, bad information, and we were all just trying to figure it out, reaching out to our families back home. I remember that night I was trying to call my father up to let him know I was okay, because I knew, like, like there's, anybody can think anything,
right,
what's going on.
Right.
Back then it was before, like, I think we still had cell phones, but cell phones weren't.
They were probably just the Nokias were just coming out, huh? Because that was what, 2001?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a different time. And how about you? Do you remember the morning or the day of 9/11? Every year we still commemorate, the fallen soldiers and those who lost their lives. I know for myself, I was in the hole in Solano State Prison, and I just remember all the COs just screaming and running over, going, they bombed the trade centers. I didn't even know what the trade centers were because I was just a young man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I do remember that time. And even for us as inmates, it was a scary time because, they said during war, they didn't really know what to do with inmates. You know what I mean? But I think it's amazing that coming from the street life and coming from the gang culture, that you were able to enlist in the Army and really become real cultural, serve your country and be an inspiration to others as well. So, I really think that people need to hear that because, we don't meet too many people in our communities who go out and serve, right? And I'm sure you were able to get an education. I'm sure you were able to have a job. Tell me, what was your work while you were there in the Army? Because I know everybody has a job, right? What did you do?
I was logistics when I first came in, so I'm gonna take that back. I mean, for any soldier in the military, you're gonna be a soldier first,
right?
That's,
soldier, yeah.
That's off top. But then you also have your, your MOS, your actual, military job occupation. I was logistics. I worked. Originally, I was at ADASA, so that's on direct supply support activity. So I was with the 127th ASB, and that was with the 1st Armored Division in Fliegerhorst. And so I was doing logistics, so any type of warehouse type work. That's what I was doing. But essentially during that time, because we had all the heavy equipment and everything like that, I was licensed on all the equipment, all the forklifts, all the everything that we used to transport. I was using it, and I was like one of two. There was actually two of us that were. So technically, for every warehouse, you're supposed to have two. 88 mics, we call them 88 mics, and they were, I believe they were 88 mics, and they were supposed to be like your vehicle equipment handlers, truck drivers, whatnot. So because we didn't have any 88 mics, me and another NCO were the 88 mics. So we were running all the equipment, doing all the driving around. I was driving around Europe a lot.
Is that right?
Yeah, I actually got my driver's badge in the first couple of years of my military service. When people don't get it in 4 to 6 years, I got it real quick.
So are there is all on the right side? Their steering wheels and stuff?
No.
That's you guys had military stuff.
Yeah, not just that, but then that was Germany. So Germany was on the left-hand side.
Okay.
But then, like, if you go to, like, I think it's England and stuff like that,
they got it on the right side, huh?
Yeah.
And so I know, being away from home and your father, your brother, you had mentioned your brother went to prison. And I know from, knowing and speaking with you, your brother found the Lord, right, in prison, and so your brother got saved. How about for you? How did your faith in God, help you throughout those 14 years as you were traveling and serving and just, being who you are? How did your faith play a role in all that?
Honestly, my faith was, I grew up as a Catholic, so when I joined the military and I went to services, I was going to service anytime I got a chance, especially when I first came in, and it was like a relief. It was like one of them things where you could just sit down and just be like, yeah.
You could pray.
Yeah.
You could pray.
It was a big relief for me.
Yeah.
And then I started to I didn't lose my way. I wouldn't say I lost my way, but at the same time, I wasn't going to church as frequently as maybe I should have. But as far as my faith went, my faith was always strong. It was just my way of going about, as far as practicing my faith was at a halt, for a while. Marriage turned that around for me real fast.
Yeah. So tell us, if you're comfortable with it, you got married in the Army. Tell us a little bit about, a little bit about your story, if you're comfortable with it.
For majority
because
of
you
career,
said marriage changed you.
Yeah.
How many of you are married and changed today? I know I am. Marriage changes us. It shapes us, right? I know Brother Fernando said, what's up? He says, Brother Ant. And as you think about that, I got a question here from Aleda. She said, what's your rank? And would you say that working in the military gave you a better understanding of the armor of God? So basically, she's asking what's your rank, and I'm sure you're familiar with the armor of God, the helmet of salvation. So Paul talks about this armor we have on as Christians, that we're in this spiritual war, and you were a soldier, and you had to have your boots on, you had to have your weapon, you had to have your helmet.
Yeah, I see that.
So I guess she wants to know what's your rank, and how did that armor of God, how did that help you?
So she's asking what's my rank. I'm a sergeant. She's asking what's my MOS. So I have I'm a 92 Alpha, a 92 Yankee, and 68 Golf.
Those sound like muscle cars right there. Huh?
Yeah.
Those sound like old school muscle cars.
And understanding the armor of God. Honestly, like being in the military and giving yourself trying to become a better man, a better person, and doing what's right. It sounds like it shouldn't be too easy. Not easy, but I would say it's not hard to do the right thing, But I have seen a lot of people fall off and doing it wrong. But then you got to bring them back, and that's what we do. We look out for each other,
Right.
So it's more like a brotherhood to me than just one of those, hey, I'm in the Army, this is what we do.
Right. Well, when you spend your life with someone, you work out with them. Yeah. I know in the military you got to run, right? How good of a runner are you?
It's been a minute since I ran, but honestly,
what were you running back then?
When I first came in, I was doing 13 minute 2 miles.
Okay.
And
how many miles a day would you run?
Oh man, I was running at least 4 to 6 miles a day.
4 to 6, huh? You're in good shape, right? I know you showed me some pictures. I wish I would have had some pictures. I would have put some on. But you also play soccer, right? Tell us a little bit about your soccer, because you said you were pretty good.
Well, yeah, I was playing soccer since I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And I stopped playing, right around my teenage years. And I kind of got back into it when I went out to Germany. Me and a friend of mine, he was from South Korea. We would play all the time with the locals. And I was telling you, I got picked up by the Galaxy out there. They wanted me to play for their team or be on the practice squad. They would have given me that little salary and a place to stay. At first, I thought this guy was crazy. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then he actually showed up to my base. He showed up and found me at my work and offered me the contract. That's when I was like, oh,
he's serious, huh?
Yeah, he was serious. Yeah. I turned him down. We were getting ready to go to Iraq at the time. This was right after 9/11 kicked off, so Because when that kicked off, it was like back to back to back to back. We're like usually you go to the field, right, and you got your training. You know, every few months you go out to the field and play little war games and stuff like that for a few days, maybe 3 to 5 days, maybe a little longer, 7 to 14 days. But when that kicked off, we're every month, boom, just back to back to back rotations. So we were stepping it up, getting ready, and I just didn't want to be that guy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that was winded and
no, not just
what?
Well, going to, oh, sorry guys, I'm going.
Yeah, I gotta go. Oh yeah, especially I'm gonna go play soccer. You guys go fight and die.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm gonna be on this Wheatie box.
Yeah, I can't.
I'm gonna be on the box with the Wheaties, right? Yeah. And so you found relationship in the Army, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how that time was for you a little bit.
As far as
relationship, you had mentioned you got married and things started to change for you. How did marriage change you?
It changed me a lot, man. I mean, because when I was in Europe, I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I was pretty much an alcoholic.
yeah, because they did a lot of drinking out there.
Yeah, we was drinking every day.
Yeah.
And coming back and getting married, my wife found out she had cancer and she had a mental breakdown shortly after, like right after we got married. So she she's in a better place right now, for the majority of our marriage, it's in and out of hospitals, getting treatment. If she wasn't getting treatment, she was going through it.
Yeah, sleeping, tired.
Yeah. So all the like I was just saying, drinking, I had nicked that down. I had to cut that down. All that stuff, but I mean, I don't regret any of it. We had a good time. It was rough though. Yeah, it was definitely tough. Yeah.
I know. I remember when you were sharing with me that I was just like, just thinking of all the things that we go through. You know what I mean, and how life, throws us different curveballs, right? And that's why we believe that our faith is so important, to know that God has a plan for all of us. And sometimes we question why. Why did it have to be them, or even me? Why me? But really, our faith is to just believe that God has a plan and a purpose because He's sovereign. Yeah. And sometimes we don't know why, but God does. And we just gotta trust His plan for our lives, right?
Right.
And so, not too long ago, a couple of months ago, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or something, I'm out here driving around and I see some guy. I go, man, this dude looks familiar right here. Yeah. So, I do what I do best. I pull up and roll down the window. Like, I go, hey, what's happening, man? I go, you from San Francisco? You're like, yep. I go, man, I know you, man. And bam. Yeah. I haven't seen you since
we were teenagers.
Yeah, maybe 99 or something last time I seen you. So
mid-90s.
Yeah, late 90s, mid 90s. So it was a long time, but it was great just to bump into you. I had no idea that you are out here in Hayward, and so I was really excited to share with you my new life. Right. I was excited. I just right away invited you to my church, and you came to the church, right? Yeah. So tell me, how was that experience for you, running into me and then hearing about what God did in my life, and then coming to experience our church?
I mean, it was a blessing. I mean, I'm still like at all, like it was awesome to hear what you're doing and things that you've been doing, the positive things that you got going on in your life, and knowing, like where you came from, and understanding, like the different things that you had to go through to get where you are right now. I'm just like, I was at awe. I mean, I'm just like super like, man.
Yep, that's the power of God, man.
Yeah.
He did it for me. He could do it for you, right?
Yeah,
and you too. I know you were telling me the other day. I go, Tone, you got to get back in church, bro. Yeah. Haven't seen you in a bit, right? And so I know you were saying, hey, let's finish strong. Let's get 2023 coming in. Saying, man, every Sunday we're gonna be there, right? Because it is that brotherhood that you talked about.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how you feel coming out now. Now you're back in the community, and we're all looking for the brotherhood. We're all looking for that family, right? That space, people we can share meals with, people we can share stories with, and that's the power of the local church. The church.
I needed that too, man.
Yeah, the church. I mean, you came to our men's dinner,
yeah,
right? Just to see 25 men come together. You came to our men's breakfast on Veterans Day. We all ate, and so you know, God really creates for us this family of faith, right? Yeah. And how has that inspired you? How has that really like motivated you to say, man, I want to be a part of this?
That's a good thing for me. I mean, because you know the type of work we do, and sometimes it could be a little bit like it could weigh down, you know, because when you're working in the, you know, with the homeless population, that, you know, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and it's like, you know, seeing everybody that I've seen and hearing and trying to understand what's going on out there, and never seeing like, I wouldn't say never seen a positive outlook, because that's what I'm always looking for. That.
Right.
But, you know, it's like, you know, boom, there it is. You know what I mean? So it just drew me right in. You know, and it's always been a good thing, and being a part of, you know, being invited to go out with you guys and hang out and come to your church. I mean, see you out there going up there doing your thing. I mean, I'm just like, man, that's what's up. Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man. We're blessed to have you. So speaking about your job, you know, I remember around that time I would just be, you know, going up and down A Street looking for souls. I'll be out on Jackson somewhere, and it seemed like everywhere I was going, you were there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You called me up, where you at?
I know. I'd be like, I see you over there. I see you over there.
Yeah.
And so something really cool came about that, because, you know, one of the things that I love is outreach. You know, I'm an outreach person. I love to share good news with people, right? And then you started to tell me that you do outreach. And so I started asking questions, well, what do you do? So maybe tonight you can tell us a little bit about the organization you're a part of, which I became a part of as well. And what is the vision of the organization that you work for, and how is that affecting Hayward for the good?
All right, so I'm an outreach care coordinator right now. I work for BACS, and that's the Bay Area Community Service. It's a nonprofit out here, and essentially what I'm doing out here, I'm an outreach. So I go out to the community, work with the different people in the community that are looking to end homelessness, you know, and help these guys out. You know, anybody and everybody that's out here that needs help. So we have programs. Obviously, the main one is we're pushing is to get people that are out here in the streets or struggling or whatever have you, that are in some type of homeless situation, into a housing program. So it's the navigation site is over there on Shoreline in Hayward. It's right
Depot Road.
And what they do is it's a rapid housing facility. So the essential thing that people need to understand when they come into that program is it's an income-based program. So we help individuals or couples find a place that they can live. They're going to be on the lease, but it has to be something they can afford. So the main thing is understanding that part of it, you know. So if they're bringing in, you know, if they're working, a lot of these guys are working out there. They're just, you know, having a hard time, what have you. If they're sleeping in their cars, you know, hotels,
somebody's couch.
Yeah, sleeping on the couch once in a while or in the garage, you know, just whatever it is. If they need help and they need to get on their feet, you know, that's what we do. So it just all depends, but for the most part, it's income based, and what they bring to the table is what we're going to be looking at. Essentially, we'll budget with them and see what they can afford and start looking at a place with them. Once we get that place going, they can get on the lease. We help them with moving costs, and we help them out with rent for the first few months, and that way they could get the ball rolling for them. Save a little money up.
Save some money, get a place to stay. What do you say some of the challenges are for cities, especially in the Bay Area? Because, you know, homelessness is like an epidemic. You know, it is just everywhere. I was earlier, I was over by High Street, man, in Oakland, and they got block after block after block of tent cities, trailers. I mean, people just building their own. And so what are some of the challenges, and how come, why do you think, because you've been working with the homeless population for a few years now, why is it that we're seeing more and more tents, more and more sleeping bags, more and more people just sleeping on the grass in front of a business or somewhere downtown, City Hall.
Everybody has their own story. I mean, as far as, why they're out there, everybody's different. Everybody has their own story. So it's that's a broad question. But in regards to like the overflow, I'm thinking that maybe it has to do with possibly with the whole COVID and everything like that.
People losing their jobs.
Yeah, people losing their job, people out of work. I know that we just talked to a few people last week that lost employment, just right after COVID.
Right.
So, I mean, after a while, and the unemployment, the EDD, that kicks in, and it only lasts so long, and then they can't find work again or whatever it is. They're on the streets, and that's, I mean, you got addiction, people with addiction issues and whatnot as well. But
right. But not everybody who's homeless has an addiction, and so as a church, I mean, the Bible, God Himself talks about how to care for the homeless, right? I mean, if you go through Scripture all the way from the Old Testament to the New, man, God's heart, I mean, Jesus, His heart is for the homeless, right? Yeah. Because Jesus Himself had no home. Right. Truthfully, right? The Bible said he says the Son of Man has no place to rest His head, no place to stay. Born in a manger, house to house. He moved from city to city, and just people opened their homes for Him, and or He said, "Hey, I'm going to your house today." And so, when I read Scripture, I just see God's love for the homeless, right? And how He tells us to care for them, right? To feed them. In the gospel, He says, many will say, "Lord, Lord," and He will say in the end, "I never knew you." And they're going to go, "Why? Why you never knew me?" He goes, "Because when I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was naked, you didn't clothe me. When I was in prison, you didn't visit me." And so I really, really feel that as believers, we have a responsibility to the homeless population in our community, because the truth is there's a lot of stereotypes around homelessness. Yeah. Right. And we talked about that. Most people think, oh, that person's homeless, they're drug addicts, or that person's homeless, they're lazy. Right. They don't want to work, but what we really see is that a lot of people who are out on the streets suffer from mental illness. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's like. Right. I mean, what would you say? Maybe 80% of the people we deal with every day, or
if you're out there in the streets if you're really out there in the streets for, you're gonna have some type of it's gonna happen. I mean,
it's a whole nother way of survival. I mean, imagine how cold it is now. I spoke to a gentleman the other day, and he told me with tears in his eyes, he goes, "It was so cold last night that I didn't think I was gonna make it." Yeah. And so what I want to do tonight is I want to encourage you, all of you who are watching tonight. Listen, homelessness is happening in our city, in our community, maybe where you live. And sometimes we've become very numb to homelessness. We've lost our compassion for people on the streets. Yeah. You know what I mean? We just walk over them, walk by them. We see people, we leave. But I want to challenge you to entertain that stranger, right? The Bible says when you do entertain that stranger, that person you don't know, you could be entertaining an angel, right? And so what I want to challenge you this tonight is put a jacket, put some socks, get a sleeping bag, get something to where when you see someone that you can offer them something, because that's what I'm doing now. Like, I got a gang of socks in my trunk. I gave away a couple sleeping bags. I got some blankets, just because I want to help and make a difference, right? And a lot of times we look at homelessness as a whole, and it's overwhelming. We can go from one block to the next block to the next block, and we feel that, just my one act of kindness, my one sweater for this guy, my one piece of food or something, it's not going to make a difference. What would you say to that for those people who are like, well, I want to end homelessness, and I feel bad for them, but is my one pair of socks or my one jacket, is that going to truly make a difference?
It can make a difference. It definitely make a difference. I mean, it's not like, all right, one pair of socks is gonna in homelessness, but it's going to change somebody's.
It's going to change their life that night.
Yeah, it's going to help them out big time. I mean, especially if they ain't changed their socks in a while. I mean, like,
and we just take for granted what a fresh pair of warm socks feels like. I'm telling you, this man looked at me, he said, it was so cold last night. He said, I didn't think I was going to live. He thought he was going to die. I mean, I know I'm cold in my house, you know, in the morning. I'm like, man, I need a robe, a heater. Yeah. I can't even imagine sleeping on the concrete with a thin blanket, or sometimes not even a blanket, right?
It's sad because, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, if you think about anybody that's out there in the streets, that's actually out there in the streets, what they would do for somebody else that's out there in the streets versus what, you know, anybody else can do that's driving by or just walking by that sees somebody struggling out there. I mean, we should be doing more. You're right.
And not only are they homeless, but 9 out of 10 that I've spoke to and that I find, they're hopeless.
Yeah.
They're hopeless, man. It's not even, you know, it's like the condition of their mind and their heart. Like, many of them have lost hope because they have no home. They have no family. People are walking by every day. You know, sometimes I ask, I go, hey, has anybody stopped by to check on you or give you a water? And they go, nope. Nobody. They look at me and turn the other way, right? And so not only are people struggling because of homelessness, but really it's hopelessness. And how can we restore hope in their lives? What can we do, Tone, to help restore hope in their lives?
As far as the lives of the people in the streets?
Yes, the homeless, yes.
Well, you know, just like you said, I mean, it's just reaching out, talking to them,
right?
You know, it's trying to you know, engage, you know, any way, anyhow, as best you can in a safe manner as well.
Safe, that's good.
You know, because you never know what's going on. You know, someone can have a really bad day,
right?
And you might have all the good intentions, but at the same time, it's like, you know, if that person needs space, they need space.
They need space. That's
so
true.
You gotta make sure, you know, you're on your toes.
You're in a safe place.
Yeah, but if you can go out there and shed some light, you know, whatever it is, you know, a lot of people, they want the change, or, you know, they not necessarily always want change though. They might just want a cup of noodles or, you know, something warm to keep them warm. You know, like maybe you could, if you get a chance, go buy some hand warmers and stuff like that, and pass them out to people if you can. That way, you know, because sometimes it's not easy, you know, and they're not expecting anything from anyone. So, you know, when we come out there and we talk to these guys, when we go to the encampments, I mean, it's like they don't even know. You know, sometimes it's like, wow, you guys care. Yeah, but
yeah, they're just moved to see, man, you came to talk to me. One thing that I found very effective is asking them their name, because, you know, our names identify who we are. They are people.
Right. Yeah.
They're somebody. They're somebody's son. They're somebody's daughter. You know what I mean? And so when we're able to go out and say, "Hey, I just want to introduce myself. What's your name?" You know, they can say, "My name's Joe." You know what I mean? My name is Bob. Whatever their name is. You know, it shows them that we care. You know what I mean? And so
it's actually engaging too, and talking and listening. Listening is key. I mean, because they will talk to you if you give them the chance.
Everybody has a story.
Yeah, anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter if they're in the streets or not. You know, if you really want to be a righteous person, you got to be able to open your ears,
right,
and listen to what's going on around you, and understand that it's not always about you all the time. And you know, if you want to give your you know, put in your thoughts, but, you know, doing it in a real way, you know, that they can understand, you know, anybody can understand.
Right. They say when the two ears are put together, it forms a heart. You ever heard of that?
No.
You take your two ears, you know how you kind of got that shape on your ears?
Yeah.
Take them off, put them together, it's a heart. That's love.
Yeah.
When you listen, right? and I think for us, you know, especially with the Christmas season here, you know, we take for granted the many blessings that we have. You know, we have more jackets than anybody truly needs in our closets, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm one of them.
Yeah, I got a bunch. Yeah,
you know what I mean? But this past Sunday, I brought a bag full of jackets because on January 7th, we're going to go out into the community of Hayward, and we're going to love on those who are less fortunate, those who have no home, but most of all, bring hope to the hopeless. So maybe as you're buying gifts for somebody, buy a gift for somebody you don't know this year. And say, you know what? I'm going to go to Walmart, Target, wherever, DD's, and I'm going to buy a sweater. Yeah. And this gift is going to be for someone I don't know, but I know it's going to make a huge difference in their life. Yeah. I want to restore hope to the hopeless. You might not be able to give them a home, but you can give them hope. You know, I think our communities, you know, homelessness is a community issue. Yeah. You know, I love to think about communities. Yeah. It is. It really is. Like, we go home to our homes, our beds are warm. But you and I, we on an average speak from anywhere from 5 to 15 homeless people a day. Yeah. Every day coming home, I'm like, man, I'm so grateful. I'm sitting on a beautiful couch. You know, I'm grateful. You know, they're covering themselves with cardboard at night. Yeah. That's their blanket. That's their home. You know, and I seen some homeless people warming up acorns and stuff, like making a bonfire just to stay warm. And
you want like an eye opener. If you got the time, volunteer at a resource center, your local resource center, or anything like that, where they work, you know, direct with you know, homeless population or any type of mental health facility. If you could volunteer there, just sit at the front desk for a good 6 hours or so,
and you'll see the need.
Yeah, easy.
You'll see.
Easy. You don't even have to say nothing. You could just sit there, and you'll just be like, "Wow,
right.
I need to change." You know, if you're on that path, or you know somebody that's on that path, you know.
So, how has working for Backs and working with the homeless, how has it changed you? How has it changed you? If you look back from 3 years ago when you started to where you are today, what do you think has been the most monumental thing in your life that has really shaped you to who you are today?
That's a good question. Well, you know, from then to now, I mean, I have a lot of different people that I've worked with, different friendships that I've made, and I've seen a lot of good things come out of it. A lot of people, you know, rise up, you know, and that's always a good thing. And I look forward to those moments. And the only thing when you work outreach, see, originally when I started working for Backs, I was the care coordinator. I was a housing coordinator, excuse me. So I was the one that was helping these guys you know, find their own place and get their own place, and that whole process, and that's pretty rough too. That's a tough job.
I can imagine.
Yeah, the care coordinator I got right now, she's awesome. Yeah, I say it all the time, and she really is. And we got a really good team, you know, really good people working there. But so working with the clients, trying to engage with the clients, understanding, you know, how the ins and outs of that and how it all works was something special to me. I mean, like, I know I mentioned it to you before, how, you know, when this whole COVID thing kicked off, I was actually activated. I went out to the East Coast and I was helping out at a hospital out there with the overflow from New York. And when I came back, I had about 15 clients before I left, and because I had to leave, I had lost my clients that I was working with, and I ended up falling into like a residential counselor position until I could, you know, get my clients back. So it was good. It was a good learning experience, and eventually I got brought back, and they ended up giving me all the clients and all the, it was just
a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was good. It was
OT,
good.
Huh?
Yeah, I was all over the place, man. I was doing 16-hour days for months.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, they had pretty much like no more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just all day.
Yeah, you're just working. You know, doing community work is God's work. You know, for all nonprofits, for all agencies, for all churches that are out in the community helping to inspire and change people's lives, it's God's work. You're doing God's work, Tom. And that's why I wanted to bring you on to our podcast today, because you made a choice, right? You made a choice. You said, hey, either I'm going to live this street life or I'm going to go into the Army and serve for the freedom of my country. You made a choice. You came home. You made a choice, right? You're qualified in many things. You can be somewhere in an office working, and if that's the kind of job God brought you to, praise God. but you chose to work with the homeless population because it's a unique job. It's a calling, I believe, to be able to listen to people, to hear people, to have the courage to walk on the train tracks and just, walk in front of somebody's tent and say, hey, how are you? I want to come and bring you resources today. It's a calling from God, right? And so I wanted our church and other folks who watch this podcast, I wanted them to see that God is using people in the community. You might not see us, you might not see Tone out there, but every day he and I, as well as BACS as an organization and as a nonprofit, and many, we got some in Berkeley, Oakland, Fremont, here in Hayward, Salinas, people, Sacramento. There are many, many great organizations that are working to end homelessness, working to help people put their lives on track.
Yeah, we're not alone, definitely. You got Sally's Place, you got La Familia,
right,
you got
a
bow, there's plenty of agency out there. Everybody does it, handles it a different way.
Right.
We talked about that too, the politics of it all, but what we're doing is a good thing regardless. I mean, if we're out there and you see us and you need some help, I mean, obviously, or if you could point us in the right direction, because sometimes, we're out there and we talk to people, and it's sometimes it gets kind of repetitive, because a lot of people that I talk to on a daily, most of them already kind of turn it down. They're just not ready for it, and that's understandable. I could respect that. If you could honestly say you're not ready for it, that's okay. But when you are ready, you know where we're at. You know who we are.
Right.
Very
much. For me, it's been a blessing because when I would run into you, I remember the day you had said, hey, man, you do a lot of outreach, and I got an opening at my job, and I think you would be great for this job.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I go, well, I pastor a church, bro. I'm swamped. Yeah. I go, there is no way, Yeah. And, and then, we kind of dropped it at that. And then you called me back. You said, hey, man, this opening is still there. I think you'd be great. And you know what? Glory to God. After a few, small resume, a few interviews, I got a job offer in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
My wife was like, wow, that was the fast. And you know what? God opened every door. It was like green light, green light, green light. Yeah. And all
the work that you did, I mean, from the mission, coming out here, doing what you've been doing, I mean, it's like, it's your position. You know what I mean? Like you've
been putting in the work.
Yeah.
You've been putting in the work.
Yeah.
And it's really just, it's been a blessing because, not only do I get to work with you, an old friend of mine's, but now we're on a new path.
Yeah.
Right? We're on God's path. And I know as a messenger of God, I'm out there every day, seeing who can I pray with, who can I help, who can I serve, who can I bring resources to. And one of my goals is to really bridge the church and the community. Yeah. Organizations like La Familia and Sally's Place and what's the spot, Sandy, across the street?
Oh, you're talking about the one for the
for the battered women.
Yeah,
they have battered women shelters. They have all these things. It's like, we need to pray. We need to work together and really share our resources. And so, I wanted to bring Tone on because Tone has an amazing testimony, an amazing story, going from the mission and all over the Bay, all the way into Germany and Asia. And then now he's back home. Now he's back here in the East Bay in Hayward with us, and he's serving and helping and doing everything God has called him to do. And so we wanted to share with you that information as well. And so before I leave, I just want to share two things tonight. If you know somebody who's in a position of homelessness, right? Because homelessness has a lot of different definitions.
Yeah. In a state of homelessness.
In a state of homelessness. You don't have to necessarily be sleeping on a street corner to be homeless. You can be sleeping at someone else's house that's not yours and be homeless. You could be sleeping on someone's couch like we talked about, sleeping in your car, or just kind of moving from hotel to hotel, and you just are looking for an opportunity to get some help. We want you to know that we're here to help. Okay. We have job resources, we have other resources, but most of all, we have housing resources for you. So if you know somebody who's in a state of homelessness, who needs that help, reach out to us. Okay, you can always go on my Facebook. You can call my number. Do whatever you got to do to get a hold of me, and then we'll go from there. But there are some major benefits, because a part of the Rapid Housing Navigation Center is to get you in your own place. And what we do is we pay all your move-in costs, right? When you find your own place.
Yeah, it's all income-based.
All income-based. You gotta be working. If you don't have a job, we help you find a job. We pay 3 months of your entire rent for you, the first 3 months that you move into your new place. Our nonprofit pays for you so you can save some money. We give you stipends to buy furniture and things like that. And so listen, there are resources out there, and we want to make sure that you know of those resources so that we can help more families. Yeah. Our goal is to bring hope to the hopeless, right? And to end homelessness in the Bay Area. And we believe that as we continue to do it, just one person at a time. You know, it's a grind, right? Yeah. It you know, sometimes it looks bigger than us, but we know that God is bigger than it. Okay. And so we wanted to just encourage you tonight. Wanted to just introduce Tony to you. If you have any questions before we go tonight, please ask away. You know, I know you probably got some stuff you want to say. I want to read a few comments here tonight. Soli Serrano says, when it comes to the homeless, that we should acknowledge them, pray for them, and speak life over them. Maxine Culpepper says, it feels good to help others. Diana says, Woodrow, yeah. Woodrow Place, right?
It's a mental health facility.
Yep, mental health facilities, like all that stuff. And so, you know, as a church, guys, we have a responsibility, right? As people of God, we have a responsibility.
Crisis center. It's a
crisis center.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, continue to be messengers of hope, right? Be grateful, be thankful that you have a home. Be thankful where you are. And again, if you know someone who needs help, send them our way, because we want to be able to help them. We want to be able to see God do some amazing things in their life. Okay.
And not just that, I was going to say too, I mean, if you have a young one, show them the way as well. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, cause I mean, like, I know when I was young, I'm not sure who is it that instilled it in me, but I remember as a kid, I always, like, if I went out to eat, even right there on 24th and Mission, with, you know, going to McDonald's, I would take a cup, make sure I fill it up before I left, and hand it to somebody.
No, it's true.
And you know,
very true.
You know, it's all about, you know, doing the right thing. You know,
that's right. Jesus said it's more blessed to give than receive. So don't forget. January 7th, we're going to go out and do jackets and blankets for the homeless population here in Hayward. Saturday night is our Christmas party. You don't want to miss it. We're going to have an awesome time. This Sunday is our Toys for Tots giveaway. We got a gang of toys. So bring your children, tell your neighbors about it, tell your coworkers, whatever you got to do. We're going to have an awesome time. And then also, lastly, I just want to throw out a prayer request for young Isaiah. Okay, Isaiah's going to the hospital tomorrow. He's got a bunch of tests, and you know, we've been praying for Isaiah for the last month. And so let's just continue to pray that God heals him, and that you know, God is with them throughout this whole process. Okay, so I'm gonna see here. It doesn't look like we have any questions. So Tone, would you just like to say a few words in closing?
Thank you for having me, and it's pretty awesome, man.
Yep. Good job, man. You're a natural, bro.
You're
a natural. You're a natural. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. God bless you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Like I said, go ahead and share this. We're going to post this on YouTube as well for those who don't have a Facebook. And let's just continue to pray and give God glory. And as we prepare for the Christmas holiday, don't forget Christmas Day. We're having church Sunday afternoon. You don't want to miss out. It's going to be a great time. We have some wonderful things happening. And none of it is possible without Jesus. Okay, so we hope tonight you're inspired. We hope something spoke to you tonight. Thank you again, Brother Tone, for sharing your life and sharing your story with us, man. It was amazing. And so we say every Tuesday night, until next Tuesday, and when we see you again live, we'll be praising God in the stack until Jesus comes back.
That's right. That's what's up.
Have a good night.
You too. Were you still on?